I hope you can see the big book stack right next to me. There are 15 books and they all have one thing in common, and that is I predicted all of these books are gonna be a 5-star rate for me. Since there are 15 books, I'm gonna try and go through them pretty briefly. Book title, book authors, a little brief summary, and why I think it's gonna be a 5-star rate for me. So let's go ahead and get started. I also have to grab them pretty gently. I don't wanna have them fall all over, my floor. The very first book in the stack is Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. I'm actually currently reading this book and I'm about maybe 40-ish% in. If you have never heard about this book, this is about two authors who went to the same school, graduated around the same time. One of them is very successful, named Athena, and the other one, June, was basically kind of flopping. One night they were hanging out and then Athena died in a freak accident, and June decided to steal Athena's last manuscript and planned to publish the book as her own. The book became successful, but things finally crept in on her, and a few people actually kind of question if this book was actually written by her, and people have been finding similarities between the book that June published with Athena's kind of like writing style. And the reason why I think this is gonna be a 5-star rate for me is because anyone who I have watched talking about this book has been rating this book pretty highly. They were saying that this is one of their favorite books and that they highly recommend this book. The next book that I have is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I actually never really read the back of the book, but I know that people have said that it's pretty similar to Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Evelyn Hugo is basically, I think, a Hollywood icon, and she's finally ready to tell the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life. And apparently she chose an unknown magazine reporter, Monique Grant, to write her story, and basically everybody is surprised that Evelyn chose Monique. As they meet up and write this, memoir or biography together, it becomes clear that Evelyn's life intersects with Monique's own in tragic and irreversible ways. So what does that mean? I don't know. I guess I have to read the book. The reason why, again, I think I would rate this 5 stars because one, everybody who have talked about this book, again, talk about this book very highly, and that it is one of their favorite books, and that they would, of course, highly recommend it. But also, I did read Taylor Jenkins Reid other book, Daisy Jones and the Six, and I love that book as well. I love her writing style, and I know the format is completely different than this book, but I think that this will be a 5-star for me as well. The next book is a chunky one. This is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and I feel like if you have been in the bookish community for a while, you've probably heard everyone talk about this book and how good it is, even though it's gonna be devastating and breaking hearts. And I know it's probably gonna do the same to me, but again, everybody has really rave about this book, and that is also the main reason why I decided to pick this up. This is about two sisters who live in German occupied France during the World War II, and I think we're following them and their two different lives. I'm not really sure what they are or how different they are, but I know and I've heard that this is gonna be a sad book. My prediction is that I'm gonna be avoiding this book for however long as I can, but I'll probably feel FOMO and pick it up anyway. I'm not sure if I'm gonna pick it up this year, maybe next year when I'm more ready. It's also gonna be adapted to a movie pretty soon, and Dakota and Elle Fanning are gonna play the sisters, so depending on how early or how late the movie is gonna be released, I will try to definitely read this book beforehand. I feel like I don't really need to give you the reason why I would think this is gonna be a 5-star rate for me, just because I feel like everybody has like a consensus that this book is great. It's devastating, but it's great. So I think I will feel the same way. But let's see in the next few months or maybe the next year, depending on when I'm gonna read this. But I feel like it's gonna be another 5-star rate for me. Okay, the next book is Rewind It Back by Liz Tom40. I actually haven't even read the first book in the series. I don't even own the first book in the series, and I've heard so many great things about this book series, and that is why I decided to get the 5th and last book when it came out, I think a couple weeks ago or maybe a month ago or so. I actually planned to read this book first. I posted a question on my thread and somebody said that I definitely can read the last book first, but it would be a better experience if I read the whole series from the first book, because the main character in this book is also mentioned throughout the book series. So if I want to learn more about like their origin or backstory, I would need to read the first 4 books. So I decided that I'm gonna do just that. I did pre-order the other books in the special edition, so this book is gonna have to wait. I'm not sure when I'm gonna be able to get to this last book, but I do predict that it's gonna be a 5-star rate for me, at least for this book. I know some people are saying that the first book is not as good, but then the second, third, and fourth, and fifth book is better. I definitely want to read it for myself, but let's see how this will be for me. This is the last and the 5th book. It's gonna be a long time before I get to this one, so hopefully by next year. The next book that I think is gonna be 5-star is First Time Caller by B.K. Borson. I have actually never read anything by this author before, and this is about Lucy and Aiden. Aiden is a radio host who has a romance hotline, so people will call in to his radio show and I guess ask questions or talk about their love life. But the secret is Aiden has fallen out of love with love, and Lucy is, I think, a single mom whose kid called into Aiden's show, and basically the clip from that little Q&A or call became viral, and I guess they decided to, I think, do the show together or something like that. I'm not really sure, but I've heard so many people talk about this book and they rate it highly, and I definitely am up for reading a romance book by a new author. So I decided to pick this up, and I do predict that this will be another 5-star rate for me. The next book that I have is the first book in the Rebel House Ranch series. This is Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. I think this is about Clementine and Luke. I think she used to live in Meadowlark, Wyoming before she went to college and make it big. I think something happened and she had to go back to her hometown, and then I guess met up with Luke eventually, and Luke is Emmy's older brother's best friend. So that is kind of exciting. I like that trope as well. And the reason why I think this is gonna be a 5-star rate for me is because, again, a lot of people who have read this book, as well as all of the other books in this book series, have rated this book highly and talk about it highly as well. I think I will also give this book a 5-star rating. I just started my kind of like small town cowboy romance read in the last couple weeks. I did read Cash by Jessica Peterson in June, and I love that one as well. So I am predicting that this is gonna be a very great and enjoyable read for me. The next book that I have is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This is a pretty chunky book in my opinion, and I'm not really sure what this book's genre is, but I think it's fantasy, but it's also general fiction, I think. This book is about Linus, who is by the book caseworker in a department in charge of magical youth. At 40, he lives in a tiny house with a devious cat. I love it when the main character has a cat, but his quiet life is about to change. He's been summoned by extremely upper management and given a curious and highly classified assignment: travel to an orphanage on a distant island and determine whether 6 dangerous magical children are so dangerous, in fact, that they're likely to bring about the end of days. I've heard, again, so many great things about this book, and I think there's already a second book in this series that's already out. I think I'm gonna read this first book first, and hopefully I will again rate this 5-star and read the second book. But let me know in the comment below what you think about this book, because again, I've heard so many people talk about this book and talk about it highly, and I decided to pick this up and hopefully read it very, very soon. The next book that I have on the list is Finlay Donovan Knocks Them Dead by Elle Cosimano. Don't really want to read the synopsis of this book because I think it might spoil the first book for you if you plan to read this series and you haven't read it. I read the first book in the series. I think it was called Finlay Donovan is Killing It. And oh my gosh, that book is just so good. I know some people don't like the book, but to me, it was really great. I think the writing is really, really good, and it makes you it's kind of addicting for me because I keep wanting to read the next pages and the next one and the next one because I want to find out what is happening. I can probably give you a quick summary of the whole series. Finley Donovan is basically a single mother of two. In the first book, she just got a divorce with her husband, and she's also a writer. And I think during lunch one time, she was out with her agent, I believe, and they were kind of discussing the plot of her next kind of like cozy mystery book, and somebody overheard their conversation thinking that Finley is like a hit woman basically. So this woman slipped Finley a note and basically trying to hire her to knock like her husband, and she offered Finley a lot of money. You'll have to read that first book and probably the rest of the book series because it is so addicting to find out what's gonna happen with that first book. And I feel like that is the reason why I predict that this book is also gonna be a 5-star read for me. And I know sometimes the sequel won't be as good as the first original book, but I'm hoping that this will be because I have the first 4 books in the series already. Hopefully the second, the third, and the fourth book will be as addicting as the first one. The next book that I have is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. This whole book series have been adapted to movies on Netflix, so if you don't want to read the book, you can actually watch the movies. I did watch the first movie, but I haven't watched the sequels. Now that I'm back into reading, I decided that I want to read the book series first before I watch the second and the third movie, and also the spin-off show, which is called XO Kitty. This is about Laura Jean, who keep her love letters in like a hat box, and one day her little sister Kitty actually sent those 5 letters out to the boys that she wrote it for, and basically the boys came back to her and asked her like, what is going on, like what is this letter for, and stuff like that. And the reason why I think this is gonna be a 5-star read for me is because I am currently reading the Summer I Turned Pretty series because I want to watch the show. And the first book was actually a 5-star read for me because that book again was also super addicting. I just want to know what happens to Belly during her summertime in Cousins Beach. I am thinking that this book series is gonna have maybe like similar vibe, obviously similar writing style because it's from the same author, and I predict that this book at least will be a 5-star read for me. This next book is called ASAP by XCO. This is actually a companion book to the other book by XCO called XOXO. Oh my gosh, there's so many O. Anyways, this second book is about 2 characters from the first book. I'm not gonna talk too much about the summary of this book because I feel like it might actually spoil the first book for you if you haven't read it. But let's just say if you are into K-pop idol, K-pop trainee, K-pop in general, as well as like musical boarding school in South Korea, in Seoul, I think you would like XOXO and ASAP. This book is about 2 characters in that first book, and because I love that book so much, I rated it again 5-star. I have a feeling that this will also highly likely be a 5-star read for me. I'm not really sure when I'm gonna be picking this up, but hopefully sometime soon, because honestly I cannot wait to figure out what happens to these 2 characters. So you kind of read about these 2 characters' story in the first book, but it's not like the end, you know? So I just want to know what happens to them. The next book that I have is The Love Hypothesis by Ailey Hazelwood. I have read actually one of her other book, Check and Mate. I'm trying to remember if I read anything else, but I think that might be it. I love her writing style on Check and Mate. After reading the first 10% of the book, I was ready to get my own chess set and learn how to strategize to win on a chess match. That is how good I think Ailey Hazelwood's writing is. So I have no doubt that this one will also be another 5-star read for me. I haven't really read the synopsis of this book, but I know also this book is getting adapted to a movie very soon, I think. Not sure when it's gonna be released, but I definitely want to try and read this book before that happens. This is about Olive Smith, who is a 3rd-year PhD candidate. She doesn't believe in lasting romantic relationships, and I think one time she panicked somehow and kisses the first man she sees, and that guy was Adam Carlson, a young hotshot professor, and well known as. I'm super excited to read this book because it is also a fake dating trope between scientists. It's kind of up in my alley, and like I said, because I love Check and Mate so much, I think that one is a 5-star read for me, maybe a 4, I'm not sure, but I have high hope for this one. I know this one is also everyone's favorite of Ellie Hazelwood books, so I again have really high hope that this will be a very great read for me. Next up in my book stack is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I accidentally bought the second book in this series called Out of the Woods, and I was actually gonna read that one first before reading this one, just because I know they're kind of standalone series. You can read it in however order you want, but I decided to get this book and read this book first. And the blurb of this book is: a hot one-night stand and an unexpected pregnancy led a young woman to someone she can depend on. See, I think I read the synopsis of this book and I'm not really sure if I would like the unexpected pregnancy trope, but a lot of people say that this book is still good despite of that trope, so I'm gonna give it a try. There's another book with like unexpected pregnancy trope that I kind of want to read as well. Again, a lot of people really rave about Hannah Bonham Young's writing style and her books. I think her other book, Next of Kin and Next to You, I think that's also like a series, are pretty popular on TikTok, went viral maybe a while ago, I'm not sure when. So I would also predict that this will be a 5-star read for me based on how popular her other books were, and people really rate them highly. So I cannot wait to read this one, and then hopefully Out of the Woods, because I feel like I can relate more to Out of the Woods characters because the character's name is Sarah. My name is Sarah. Sarah is married to Caleb. I am married to my husband Ricky. And I just want to know what kind of like rough patches that they experience in that book. So in order to get there, I have to read this. And I'm hoping that I can read this very soon and that this will be a 5-star read for me. This next one is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by Fee Schwab. I feel like if you are even a little bit involved in the book community, you probably have heard people talk so highly about this book, and I actually got a copy of this earlier in the year from this place called Book Off in Monterey Park for like $7-8, and the reason why I got it is because of how popular this book was. This book was published in 2020, and I still hear people rave about this book even in 2025. I would be a fool if I don't at least give this book a try and a read. So I think because of how popular this book is and how people rate it pretty highly, I think I will also rate this a 5-star. This is basically about Addie, who I think made a deal with the devil. I want to say someone evil, basically. I forgot what the deal is, but basically she gets to live for a long time. She's basically immortal. The catch is that every time she leaves the room, the person she met or have conversation with would always forget about her. Anyways, I don't really want to talk about it too much because I kind of want to go into this book a little bit blindly. I've heard people describe this book on like the videos that I've watched, and I think that is way more information that I want to know about this book. But again, because this book is so popular, a lot of people really rated them highly, I think this will also be a 5-star for me. I think the last 2 books, I'm gonna talk about them together because they are from the same author. These are books by Catherine Center. This one is called The Rom-Comers. This one is called Hello Stranger. And the reason why I think these books will be a 5-star read for me is because I have read 3 Catherine Center's books in January alone. The Rom-Comers is about Emma, I believe, who's a screenwriter or something, and she won a contest to write with Charlie Yates, who's another screenwriter that is super famous. Basically, it's an opportunity she doesn't want to skip, and when they meet in LA to work together, basically Charlie doesn't want to have anything to do with her because he thinks that I'm a famous writer, why do I need another person to help me rewrite my screenplay or whatever. This one, Hello Stranger, is about Sadie, who is I believe she's a photographer or a painter. Oh yeah, she's a photographer, I think. But she just recently diagnosed with face blindness. and the doctor doesn't know if it's gonna be permanent or temporary, and obviously that is gonna make her career not going so well. Obviously she has to photograph people, and if she has face blindness, that's not gonna be good. I haven't really read the synopsis of this one, but I cannot wait to read this book. I feel like all of Catherine Sandra's books, I have been having a great experience reading them. I think because I have loved her other books in the past, I would definitely love these ones. So let's see, once I read these two books, what my rating would be, but I predict that these two will also be a 5-star read for me. Those are all of the 15 books that I predict will be a 5-star read for me. I'm not sure when I'm gonna get into these books, hopefully sometime soon, because I still have a lot of other books that I want to read first. Let me know in the comment below if you have read any of these books, and if you also predicted that these books will be a 5-star read for you.